So now we want to talk about exponents and equations when we're working in Zn. So here when we have exponents, so think about what they meant for integers, right? If I say like 2 cubed, it means multiplication, right? 2 times 2 times 2. So we have the same thing here. So if I say a to the k for in Zn, this means I'm taking the equivalence class of a, or congruence class times itself, times a, and you have k of them. You have k factors here. Okay, so let's look at an example of how this would work. Let's stick in with Z5. In Z5, if I take 3 squared, that means I'm taking 3 times 3. I just have 2 factors of 3. So you're going to multiply. You get the equivalence class of 9. And we need to reduce that down. So what's the remainder when I divide 9 by 5? It's 4. So this would be 3 squared. It would be the equivalence class 4. What about if I did 3 to the 4th? So this means you have 4 3s that are being multiplied. Well, we know what 3 squared is. It's 4, so I can replace that by a 4. I can also replace this by a 4. So I get 16. And again, you need to reduce that down. So what's my remainder when I divide 16 by 5? The remainder is going to be 1. So that's what 3 to the 4th would be. It would be 1. So that's how we work with exponents. So now let's talk about equations. So we're going to look at an example with equations. So let's say we want to solve x squared plus 5 times x equals 0 and z6. So remember that z6 has 6 elements in it. And what you need to do is you need to check each one of these elements, check each element to see if it is a solution to the equation. So let's walk through that. So I'm going to organize this information essentially into like a table format. Here's x, and then what I need to do is I need to compute x squared plus 5 times x. So let's start with 0. So you're going to take, it's x squared, so it's going to be 0 times 0 plus 5 times 0. So you're going to start with multiplication. So this 0 times 0, that's 0, plus, and then 5 times 0, that is also 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. So in the end, you're trying, look at your equation here, you want it to be equal to 0. So is this a solution? Yes, this is a solution. I got 0 back. Okay, so now let's check the equivalence class of 1. So you're going to plug in 1 into your left-hand side of your equation. So it'll be 1 times 1, because it's 1 squared, plus 5 times 1. And again, you're going to start by doing the multiplications. So here I get 1. Here I get 5. 1 plus 5 is 6. Or sorry, yeah. Well, yeah, 1 plus 5 is 6, which is the same thing as 0, because we're working in Z6. So this is also going to be a solution. Let's check 2 now to see if it's a solution. 2 squared, 2 times 2, plus 5 times 2. So again, start with the multiplication. 2 times 2, that's 4. 5 times 2 is 10. And the remainder when you divide 10 by 6 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. The remainder when I divide 8 by 6 is 2. So here I don't get 0, so 2 is not going to be a solution. Let's check. We got a couple more to check. So you're going to do 3 times 3 plus 5 times 3. I think I'm just going to say what you get here, since we've done a few of these calculations. So here you should get 0. Again, you're going to do the multiplication first. You should get 0, so this will be a solution. If you do 4, you get, so for 4 times 4 plus 5 times 4, you should get 0 for this, so it's also going to be a solution. And then the final element we need to do is 5. If you compute 5 times 5 plus 5 times 5, in the end you're going to get 2 for this, so it's not a solution. So here our equation had x squared plus 5 times x equals 0 has 4 solutions, and those solutions are 0, 1, 3, and 4. Now look at this equation. This equation has an x squared in it. So you can think of this is a quadratic equation, right? So let's think for a minute about the difference between z and zn. So if you look at a quadratic equation in z, so for example, like x squared minus 1 equals 0, this has at most 2 solutions. But look at what happened here when we had a quadratic equation in Zn. This quadratic equation, it's quadratic because the highest power is an x squared. This one has 4 solutions. So we're not limited anymore in the number of solutions we have. We can have more than the power of the equation.